for virtual Maker Faire Miami, and this is the Talk Shop panel with Estefannie Explains It All, Allie Weber, Jen Schachter, and myself, Sophy Wong. And we are four makers who we've met each other at various maker events over the years. We all like to make stuff, and we're just going to take this time to introduce ourselves and share a little bit about what we make and where we make it. So take it away, Estefannie.
Oh, I go first. Okay. Didn't realize that. But yes. Are you gonna share the slides now? Well, I'm gonna start anyway. Well, you do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So my name is Estefannie and I am a maker, but professionally, I guess, I am a software engineer. I studied computer science and mathematics. I worked as a software engineer for 5 years, and then I quit my job to be a full-time maker and creator on YouTube. So that's kind of like the quick introduction. And yes, my channel is called Estefannie Explains It All, as the slide says. And yeah, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So like I said, I'm a software engineer by trade, but so I like making fun of it, or I'll also raise questions via videos. So I make funny skits that also make fun of the current industry. And I usually also make things while I do that. So can we go to the next slide? Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I also like
I'm trying to read your mind.
Yeah. And then I like making props like this one. This was my Jurassic Park goggles make, where I 3D printed the entire thing, and then I added NeoPixels and a Raspberry Pi, and then I connected that to Twitter. And every time someone tweeted at Jurassic Pi, it would take a picture and tweet it back at them. So basically it was like to see what I could see. And I made that for a conference I went to in Ireland so that people could see the conference.
That's so cool. And that's 3D printed, you said? That whole thing is 3D printed?
The whole thing is 3D printed.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And I sent it, and I'm glad you asked. Maybe I can bring it for the actual live talk so I can show it as well. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Next slide, please.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah, so I like to mix code and making physical objects, as well as my new passion of soldering. So I like, this is one of my favorite projects that I made, a light bulb for another YouTube channel called Kids Invent Stuff, and their logo is a light bulb, so I made a light bulb for them. And
cool.
I decided to make the filament myself, and I did a freeform circuit. So basically with just like copper wire and tiny SMD LEDs. And then, and so the little spiral that you see at the edge of the screen is that, a little freeform circuit that I soldered. And
wow. So you actually soldered all of those LEDs onto that coiled wire
by
hand.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It really looks like a light bulb filament.
Thank you.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you. It took me like 18 hours to solder, but it was great. And then I also kind of show the code, because the code was actually kind of tricky to do, because I wanted it to light up every time they got a like on Instagram. And the thing about Instagram is they really don't like bots like this one that is like constantly pinging their server, as in like, oh, I want to see how many likes they have. I want to see how many likes they have. Just ping, ping, ping. So they usually try to, like they will ban your IP address. So I went around that by doing the checkup not as often, and then also like I did like a time sleep thing, and then also I added a button, like you see the light bulb has a button down there, so they could turn off the Instagram scraper, so it could just be a light bulb. So yeah, but that was a lot of fun. So that's the kind of stuff that I like to make, where I mix like the code and then a lot of soldering, and then the box and everything else I also had to kind of do. Like the light bulb, I had to learn how to like actually open up a bulb. It's really hard. There's gas.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that
That
was
looks
fun.
great.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we can go to the next slide, please.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So, and then the other thing I do is tutorials. When I learn to do something, sometimes I like to make like a full-on tutorial where I show you step by step on how to make something. And this is actually one of my most famous tutorials because everybody wants to make an Instagram filter. And so I learned how to make one, and then I show you step by step on how to like make the glasses and the stars around you, and basically AR. And it's a great introduction to if anyone is interested in video game developing and AR and VR. This is exactly how it is made. And people, I like tricking people into computer science without them knowing that they're doing that. And this is a great way of doing that. So
That's
that's
awesome.
thank you. Thank you.
There's so many fun things you can do with code. Technically, it's code, right?
Yeah, it's all code. It's just it is like game engine, and it works. So all the code is like in the background, but you can just like drag and drop stuff. And if you want to tweak the code, you can also go to the code directly. So it's pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And ooh, tell us about your Daft Punk helmet.
Yeah. I think this is maybe when I met you at one of the first Maker Fairs I ever went to. And yeah, I went to Maker Fair San Mateo, and I thought that to go to a Maker Fair, you had to make something. And then I learned that you don't necessarily have to make something to go to Maker Fair. But I really wanted to go to Maker Fair San Mateo, and I made a Daft Punk helmet that also fully 3D printed. I made a box to be able to vacuum form the visor, and then I programmed the LEDs to have like pre-programmed rainbow stuff. But then also I had a microphone inside the helmet, so the lights would move up and down with my voice.
Oh, that's cool. So it's audio reactive,
Yes.
interactive. Oh, that's so cool.
And then I added, it can be scaled up a lot, but because I use the Linux computer in it, so I don't want to talk too much about it. Sorry, I'll be quick. Maybe, you know what? Actually, no, this is great. Ask questions during the live panel. Let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, gingerbread house.
Yeah, so this is just another example of like I like mixing code with physical objects that I can also eat, and they're delicious, and electronics. So this is also one of my first projects I did. But if you ask away, I hosted a website in a Raspberry Pi, displayed that on an iPad so I could control the gingerbread house, and it had a solar panel. But yeah,
Oh, that's
just
cool.
a bit. Yeah.
A tiny solar panel.
Yeah.
Ooh, more food project.
More food. Yes, this was I made a laser security system for cookies with the Raspberry Pi, and I actually made that video for the Raspberry Pi channel, which was a collaboration. But I wanted to make something very visual and play with lasers, and it was so fun. So, but yeah, I don't want to get too much into details so that people can ask me in the live panel. Yeah.
Super cool. That's awesome.
Thank you. Is that my last slide? I think that's my last slide.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go to Allie now.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh wait, one more slide.
Sorry. Project Campus. I know Jen is going to talk a lot about this too, so I wanted to add my project to my slides because it was the first time I used resin, and I 3D printed the object, then I did some molds, and then I did the resin, and then I put the freeform circuit inside. So that was a lot of fun to make as well.
And it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I miss it.
Cool.
For Huzzy Center.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll let Jen talk more about the Project Egress part because that's her baby.
Yeah, that's a good one to ask questions about too. We have lots to say about Project Egress.
Oh yeah. So
cool. And I think that, and that's a really good introduction to all the cool things that you do, Estefannie.
Thank you.
Lots of making and lots of code, and Allie also likes to combine making stuff and coding stuff. So let's, one more.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. No.
You guys are good.
Okay.
This is a very cool, mysterious image that we can ask questions about later for sure.
Yes, we'll ask
I have
about
questions.
how I get you free storage later. All right, yeah, let's move on. No, I'm so sorry. I did
One more cool thing.
I sent a lot of pictures. I'm sorry.
You make a lot in your kitchen, which I love.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Let's talk to Allie. Allie, hello.
Hello.
Um,
My name's Allie, and I'm 15, and I am from South Dakota. I don't have the kind of technical background that everybody else has just because I'm still in school, but I have been making and inventing from a really early age. If you want to flip to the next slide, actually, I have a picture from when I was in first grade, and I made a robot out of all recycled materials for the science fair. And I was really excited to build this robot for the science fair, and I ended up winning the science fair, and that's really where my love of inventing and making things took off, was with Roby the robot. And ever since then, I've been making inventions and creations. If you want to move on to the next slide, I've been making a ton of inventions. When I was in 5th grade, I created a frostbite detection system, because I live in South Dakota and it gets really cold in the wintertime. One winter, I actually got frostbite while going sledding with my friends, and it was really not the best experience. So I decided to create an invention that would allow you to go outside and still have fun with your friends without having to worry about getting frostbite. So I created the frost stoppers. And that was the first invention that I entered into online invention competitions. And that's how I started getting global recognition around the world for the things that I make, and that's also the first invention that I got a patent on recently, so I'm really excited about it.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
I have so
Thank
many
you.
questions on that, but we'll leave it for the live panel. I want to know how you did it. I don't know even how to start. So cool.
Yeah. If you want to move on to the next slide, I'm trying to remember what I have on here. Okay, so this is the Got Your Back binder strap, and it's one of my inventions that I made because when I was going into middle school, they didn't allow backpacks in school. It wasn't allowed, which didn't make any sense for me because I really didn't like using 3-ring binders, which was the only alternative. They were really uncomfortable, and they just like kind of dug into your shoulders and weren't good to wear. So I came up with a invention idea that was for a binder strap that you could hook over like a backpack and just wear your binder to school like a backpack. And it was on little hooks so you could remove it from the backpack if you wanted to, so you wouldn't get in trouble in school for wearing it if they thought it was a backpack. And it was a really simple invention, but I ended up using it the entire school year, so it's one of those things that really goes to show that even if it's not a problem that everybody has, like not everybody hates 3-ring binders, if it improves your life and it's a simple enough idea or a complex idea, then if you solve it, it'll eventually be really good for you and be good for the solving of the problem. So it makes life easier.
And are you still using it?
Oh yeah, I'm still, well, actually my brother wants to use it this next year because it's the first year, actually it's the second year that he's in middle school and I'm in high school, so I don't have to use it anymore because I can just use a backpack. So he's begging me to use it, so I'm like, oh, okay, you can use it this year.
That's awesome. It lives on. Cool.
On the next slide, oh, this is one of my inventions that I made. This one took the longest time and I was the most frustrated with, but it ended up being one of the most rewarding inventions that I made. It's the blow dart spirometer, and basically the idea for this one came from when one year around Christmas, I went to the dollar store with my grandma, as I do every year, to pick out presents. And I got this little toy blow dart gun with, like, you know, Nerf darts or whatever, the little foam suction cup darts. And so then I played with that all the time. And I realized that the more that I played with it, the stronger my lungs felt, I guess. I don't know why I was thinking about that when I was playing with this, but that's how it really started. And I told my mom this strange realization. She was like, oh, it must be good lung therapy then. And then I remembered my grandfather who had been in the hospital the year before for lung therapy. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I should combine these two ideas, because he always complained about how boring it was and how annoying it was to do all the tests every day and stuff. So why not make it a little more fun? And that's one of the things that I really enjoy doing with my projects, is combining two ideas and making them even better. So this is really one of those inventions that it took me the longest to figure out, just because it was really hard for me to program, just because it was a medical device. It had to be pretty accurate. But I learned a lot about 3D printing and about using the parts that you have and about asking people for help. And when you get stuck, you know, being able to go through it and learn new things and meet new people. And it's one of the reasons why I've really grown to this day.
So cool. And you made something that that other people can use and that benefits them, and that's so awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And
Yes,
then
I'm
on the next
so
slide.
inspired.
Oh, thanks. I'm trying to get through this to make it like not run out of time. Okay. So all of these inventions that I made, those are just some of them, but most of them I get a lot of attention for just because not a lot of kids are, you know, making things and getting out there, which they definitely can. So I want to bring awareness to, you know, kids in STEM and stuff, and that's how I got onto the show Mythbusters Junior, which is actually how I met Sophie. So
Yay!
that was pretty fun. And it was a great experience. I got to go out for a whole summer to California and meet 5 other amazing kids in STEM and be able to work with them and make new projects, blow things up. And it was just an overall amazing experience, and I learned so much. So, yeah, thanks.
I'm sure we all have. I mean, I was even there, and I still have questions for you. So this is a great one for the live questions later.
Yes, for sure. Oh, and if we were doing pictures for our shop, since this is shop talk, right? So I don't really have a shop in my house just because I just make everywhere. Like I make messes everywhere. That's really what I do. So when I'm in my creative process or in my inventive process, then I will just take over whatever surface I'm closest to, and it'll be messy for like a week. But mostly I do projects sometimes in my room. This is my room and where my desk is, and I have some dinosaurs on the wall because I like dinosaurs, and just my desk and my 3D printer. And then also I have in my basement, it's an unfinished basement on the next slide, but that just makes it a lot easier to be able to pile stuff around and then not have to clean it up once you're done because nobody's gonna see it. So we're working on finishing that too, but at the moment I make a lot of messes everywhere, and then I end up having to clean them up, and it really gets a little bit tedious when I start a project in one place and then I get bored of that project and I think, oh, as stress relief, I should start another project and then just make another mess somewhere else. So that's just part of my creative process, but that's really what my shop means to me at my house. So yeah.
I can totally identify because I do the same thing. And I think you've hit on something really important, which is I think your shop is wherever you make your mess. I think that is your shop.
Pretty much.
Thanks, Allie. Okay, let's go to Jen. Jen. Hey.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen Schachter. I am currently living in the Bay Area. I work officially as a Director of Special Projects for Savage Industries, which means I work for Adam at his shop, and I'm also a contributor to Tested.com. I have a background in art, so I went to art school, and then I kind of took a little bit of a zigzag path and found myself in a maker space, and that's where I started becoming a maker, realizing this is where my people are. So the first project I tackled, and actually, Sophie, you can go to the next slide, in my kind of making, I don't know, initiation, was I was working at a makerspace, and one of my former boss got asked to work at the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, and this was during the Obama administration, and they were hosting a festival, and they were looking for some huge letters to be the centerpiece of the event. So basically, I got a call one day. I was sitting at my desk in my makerspace, and I got a call saying, hey, do you want to work on a project with Adam Savage for the White House? It's in 3 weeks. And I was like, of course, sure, totally. So very quickly, I designed and put together these letters, and then we helped assemble them with 50 kids at this makerspace in Baltimore called Digital Harbor Foundation. And we built these letters, and then we brought them to the White House. This is on the White House South Lawn. For this festival, and it was like interactive and lots of people helped build it. And that was my first project with Tested, and it was also the first of many community build projects, which is kind of what I've become known for, is bringing a lot of people together to make something that's collaborative. I'm actually going to do another talk about community builds, so if you're more interested in that, I can talk more about these in detail. You can go to the next slide.
Oops.
So this is another example of a big collaborative project. You might recognize this is Rosie the Riveter. So we did a huge monument. So for scale, she is about 7 feet tall, 6 feet tall, from sort of the torso to the top of her head. So this is huge. And it's made up of 3D printed little bricks. So I made a little sculpture out of clay at a Sculpey. And then I worked with a group called We the Builders, and they scan the sculpture and then take it digitally and slice it into sections. So what you're seeing there is 3D printed parts that have been made by over 700 people from all around the world. So you can go onto the We the Builders platform, you download an STL file, you 3D print it at home, and you ship it to us on location, and then we assemble it into this huge sculpture with lots of help, and there's all kind of infrastructure inside of it. So really fun opportunity for lots of people to get involved and build something together.
So cool. I love the mass collaboration aspect.
Yeah, we did a couple of these. We did Benjamin Franklin, Edgar Allan Poe, George Washington, and then Rosie, we did a smaller version that you can see over there, and then this huge monument for an event.
So cool.
You can go to the next slide. So this is a little bit more of my personal work. This is just a piece that I did for a local restaurant. And it's basically an analog robot made out of wood. No fancy coding or anything, it doesn't move. It's just a sculpture. But, sorry, I'm getting calendar notifications. Yeah, it's just made out of reclaimed wood and some hardware findings and stuff. And then inside the lighted part is actually a parking validation scanner. So there's sort of a laser in there that reads the barcode. So when you park in the parking garage, you can get your ticket validated, and then you put it into the robot's belly and it scans your ticket so you can take it out to the garage. So I do dabble.
That's cute.
Yeah, I like it. I dabble in woodworking. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say, I always think of those parking machines as robots anyway, so I like that it actually is one.
Yeah, a little personality.
Yeah.
The next one. Also, I dabble a little bit in cosplay. So this was a Halloween costume from a few years ago. I went as Elliot, which was pretty simple costume, just some jeans and a red hoodie, but I made this ET from scratch. It's a armature made out of wire and like some packing material. And then I covered it. The skin is actually just duct tape, which I painted, and I carved some eyes out of clay. So I do, it's very DIY, sort of home found objects, but I do dabble a little bit in making costumes and doing some kind of creative, inspired by movies, inspired by TV, props and costumes and things like that.
And I've seen this in person, and it is amazing. It's crazy when you get up close to it and you see what the material actually is, because it looks so much like skin, you know?
It's a little.
It looks so good.
Thanks. Yeah, he's traveled around a lot. I took him to Maker Faire at San Mateo, and it was raining all that year, the last Maker Faire. So ET's not doing so well these days, but he's in good care now. trying to keep him home. So.
Give him a little pat on the head from me.
I will. He's just, actually, you can see him. He's just down there.
Oh yeah, I can.
Carmen San Diego and April O'Neil are some other cosplay things I've done that you can see in the background.
Cool.
I think I have one more slide. I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is Project Egress, and this is another big collaborative build. We did this for the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, which is one of my favorite places in the world. And they reached out to Adam and I to do a commission piece for their 50th anniversary of the first moon landing. So Apollo 11 happened in July of 1969. So in 2019, 50 years later, they were having all these big events to celebrate the anniversary, and they asked us to come down and do a build for them in DC. So we worked with this really incredible engineer, Andrew Barth, and he basically took all of these archival drawings and engineering diagrams of the original hatch and rendered the entire thing as a functioning 3D model, which is a mind-blowing feat. And then we took all of the individual components from Andrew's model, and we curated a group of about 45 different makers, among which were Sophy and Estefannie and many of our other friends and colleagues. And each maker was tasked with recreating one of these pieces to scale to the spec of the original. So once again, we had people create things at home in their own environment and then send them to us. So during the anniversary celebrations in DC, we took all these pieces on stage in front of an audience and we assembled this whole sort of Frankenstein hatch, which is now living actually at the Air and Space Museum in their permanent collection. So you can see there in the picture all of the makers, just so many of our friends that were builders, and only a few of them got to be there, but lots of fun contributing to a build with so many different people that I respect and admire their work. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go through it fast. I don't know if that was too fast.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting distracted because everyone's just like sharing such cool projects and I just want to talk about them. So yeah, I mean, I'll never forget the Project Egress Day. That was so cool. Oh, and here's your studio space.
My studio. Yeah, so this is my home shop. It's definitely a work in progress. I live in a big kind of industrial loft space and it needs a lot more color, it needs a lot more light, but this is the work in progress of my kind of home shop. And I think I might have one more slide of that right afterwards. Yeah, that's a light project that I was working on. So yeah, it's kind of always in flux, but I have I want to build a workbench and add some more color and signage and stuff. So.
And you're filming your builds in this space too.
I'm starting to, yeah. I don't have a dedicated channel yet, but I'm starting to release some of my stuff through tested.com. So if you check out their stuff, I've got a lot of videos on there too.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so I'll just explain a little bit about myself. I'm Sophie. I'm based in Seattle. I am a designer and a maker. But my background is really in design. So I studied graphic design in college. I worked as a graphic designer. I worked a little bit in fashion. I had my own line for a while, just making clothes and designing them. And then I got into costumes for theater. So I worked at the Seattle Opera costume shop where we made costumes for our productions. And so I've always been interested in wearable projects, and I really started making my own wearables and integrating technology into my wearable projects about 5 or 6 years ago. And I've just made so many things at this point. Sometimes they have technology, sometimes the technology is just in the process. But I just like to explore what I can make, what I can put electronics in, and what I can put on my body, basically. So a lot of my work looks like this. This is an LED manicure that I made. And so this is an example of like an aesthetic project where the technology is just part of the visual design. And this was inspired by a music video by a J-pop group that I really like, where in the video they're like these kind of pretending to be these robot characters and their nails light up, and I just thought that was so cool. So I just built my own version of it, and then I went on to make another version of this that has RGB LEDs in them. So I get inspired by the sort of pop culture and science fiction and futuristic visual projects that other people do. That really inspires me, and then I kind of work that into what I do. And then I also do just other kinds of wearable electronic projects. This is something that I did as a tutorial project. It's a wearable Flappy Bird controller.
That is
so this
so
is
cool.
more of an interactive one.
Yeah.
And it's basically, so I took this hoodie and I kind of turned it into a bird costume by adding all those feathers. And then I added some conductive material underneath the arm and underneath the, and right on the side of the, you can kind of see it on the, like on where your rib cage is. So when your elbow comes down, when you're flapping your arms, it sends a signal to your computer that is basically a spacebar press. So you can play Flappy Bird by actually flapping like a bird. And it's really fun. It actually is like this weirdly immersive way to play Flappy Bird. Actually, like, And obviously you look so cool when you're doing
Yeah.
this.
Part of your fashion design background.
Right?
No, it's really,
Right?
really cool.
You can easily take this from day into night, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is something that I did because I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how you could make your own game controller, how you could make that a wearable project. And so I wrote this up as a tutorial, as I often do. I write a lot of tutorials about the things that I make. And I actually have a lot of tutorials published in Hackspace magazine, which is a UK magazine. But they compiled my tutorials into a book, so you can get this wearable tech projects book that will take you basically from zero to wherever it is that I'm at, making these
million.
bizarre creations.
But
but
sorry, no, I didn't want to interrupt. Sorry, I was want to mention, like, I already told you before, but I want to say it again. Like, your pictures are so amazing. Of course, they're a book too. Like, the projects are really cool, and also like your documentation is just like perfection.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you. I learned a lot about doing that in this project, in the project of putting this book together. So I feel like I've come a long way. I've learned a lot. And sometimes I look back at my older projects and my older documentation and I'm like, whoa, I needed more light there. But yeah, I now I really enjoy doing it. Something I really like about writing the tutorials is I get to do all the kinds of design that I'm interested in. I get to design the project, I get to build it, and I get to write, which is, I think, another form of design. And then I get to do photography and kind of exercise my graphic design brain muscle. So it kind of brings everything together. And I actually really enjoy writing the tutorials. And the documentation in the beginning, I thought it was tedious, but now I really enjoy doing it. And I have so many photos. Like, I have too many photos.
It's awesome. Which, by the way, I want to mention for everybody to know that you designed the slides, and that's why they're so beautiful.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. They're really cool.
Well, yeah, it was kind of fun. So thank you for letting me do it. And then as Jen mentioned, I worked on Project Egress as well. And that was just such a fun project. That was, so I had this tiny little part 34. I think Estefannie and I, we have similar looking parts that kind of all come together in that incredible linkage assembly. Yeah, and this is an example of how I like to mix materials and mix processes. So I started with a 3D printed part, and then I added metal pieces to it that I used some like jewelry making techniques to, so it's brass and silver and a little bit of copper, and just soldered those pieces together and did a lot of polishing and a little wire wrapping on the handle. And I just wanted to like think of a way to make the piece beautiful but still functional. So the little bearings inside actually turn, and then I added that NFC chip you can see in the upper left corner. It's a little NFC chip that if you scan it with your smartphone, it'll take you to the Project Egress website, because I wanted to like bury some information in the actual entire project. So, thinking of it as sort of like a time capsule. As long as that website stays up, we can get to it.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was just such a fun build. And then I love space stuff in general, so I made my own spacesuit that is a fantasy spacesuit original design of my own. So this is all made out of laser cut EVA foam, and actually started with a purchased costume helmet, space helmet, that looked very different. And I just gave myself the challenge of how do I make this helmet look like, how do I transform it from this goofy looking costume, like $30 helmet, into like the space helmet of my dreams. So that was a really fun design challenge for me. And I got to integrate all the kind of technology that I like to use in my process. So we did a lot of designing these pieces in Illustrator and using the laser cutter, which is just like so much fun. Anytime I get to fire the laser, I'm happy. And then I sewed the jumpsuit, and I just kind of created the look that I wanted from scratch, which was really fun. And then, yeah, so
cool.
I make a lot of costumes, and so these are kind of like my two favorite things together. So the right-hand side is it's a cosplay costume, so it's a character that is from this really goofy movie, Red Sonja, from 1985. This is the villain from that movie, so it's pretty obscure, but it's a cosplay piece, so it's not an original design of my own. But I enjoy doing that just as sort of an exercise as a maker. Like, how can I source the right materials or replicate this thing that I'm seeing? Like, I kind of like that aspect of working backwards.
Yeah.
So that one's kind of coming along. And then the purple dress there is also, so these are both about like 90% done, and I find that that is the hardest hump to get over in like projects. But the purple one is a 3D printed dress that I'm working on. So I'm trying to create an entire garment that is made out of 3D printed PLA on a fabric backing.
Wow.
So
it looks so beautiful
Wow.
too.
Oh, thank you. It's so many pieces. It's like my printer only prints like 12 by 12. So, and I can only print out to like 10 by 10 because I need to tape the fabric down. So it's like so many pieces connected together.
But like you can definitely see your design background, like also fashion design, because the silhouette that you're creating on the dress is like a female figure, you know. It's not just oh, here's like a square and a dress, you know, like a skirt is a triangle. No, like it's actually really, well, I can see that. It's so cool. I would wear that.
Oh, thank you.
I want to wear that.
Yeah, I would love it if you would.
Oh,
I
yeah.
am trying to, you know, I am like, I'm kind of looking at it when I'm designing it, and I'm like, oh, I want this line to go here because I'm thinking of my own body, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want it to go out here. I want it to go in here. And the interesting thing about the 3D printing on fabric is it's surprisingly modular. Like, if I want to cut a portion out and redo it, I can, you know, just cut along those lines, reprint along those lines, and then, you know, stick it in there. I mean, it is
Cool.
It's laborious, but it's doable, you know. It's a weird thing that I discovered as I'm working through it. But that's the whole point, is this is kind of an experiment just to see what I could do, or how making something of this scale might come together. So I'm letting go of some of the design rigor that I usually, like, you know, hold myself to when I'm trying to create a project, but because I want to just get to the end of this and see what I learn. And then, you know, when you're 90% through your projects, you all know, like, at 90%, that's when you like learn so much stuff that you want to go back and redo it all. So that's where I'm at now. And then this is my studio. This is literally what it looked like yesterday. It's just all the projects kind of coming together, and I have this big giant table that it's my multi-use table, so I'm constantly cleaning it off and then getting it messy, you know, just like Allie was saying. I have kind of this routine now that every morning when I come into the studio to work, the first 15 minutes is like, I have to clean up. And then I spend the whole rest of the day just getting it messy.
Yeah. I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to leave them for the live.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a lot of questions too, and I hope that everyone watching has questions and has been writing them down, because we are super excited to talk to people and see what you all thought, and what you're all making. So
yeah, we hope you'll join us for the panel, and we're excited to see everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So tune in to Make It Fair Miami on, which day are we on? It's on the Sunday, I think. I'm sure it's
Yeah, I'm sure it's on the schedule.
yeah, if you found this video, then you definitely know the time and date. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you to everyone for watching. And thanks, Estefannie. Thanks, Jen.
you.
Thanks, Allie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Guys. All right. So
Cool.
yeah. We'll
All
see
right.
you soon.
So see you there.
Yeah.
See you
All
later.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Signing off.